So I got a fan going, so if you hear a little clicking or whatever, it's just the fan in the background. Um, Wanted to touch on Harmony Bloom again because it's really, it really is that good. And I know a lot of people get it and they wonder how they're gonna make it really work, how they're gonna. But I'll say this: there's a few key features in here, in my opinion, that you need to use. Okay, first one is the note collection. It says it defines the Harmony Bloom sound, which is true, right? So there's certain notes within each collection of chords that are gonna in the scale. See, it says includes chord scales or meticulously selected intervals. So if you pick a good interval and you like the way it sounds, it'll work. Most of them will work on most songs. I mean, occasionally if you go somewhere way out of pocket, you might find it's not good notes for your song. That's okay. The other thing I think is key is these two right here. I was gonna say this, but no, that's not important. The offset, the Q offset, the distance between the notes, right, in a quantized situation, and then the F offset, which is the free time. That's the distance. So you want some free time in there, but it depends on what you're doing, right? Every situation is gonna be a little different. The rest of these settings are extra to add to the to the spice of whatever you're doing. How many notes you use on a certain instrument can matter. So I would say on a guitar, in my opinion, you would want to use. There's no rule, but I usually stick to around 6 notes when it's a guitar or something. Maybe I'll do an extra note or two here or there, but and again, exploration is the key. The octave transpose is huge to me. Sometimes I don't want to be in the middle. I want to be, like this particular song, which I'll show you in a second. I prefer to have it all the way down, as low as high as possible. This is actually low. That's high. And excuse me for being having a cold. So it is what it is. And then this new feature here with the quantize, where it basically is quantizing according to the division that you pick. So you pick the division, it kind of falls in line. Then you can adjust the settings to define the subdivisions used in the offset. So these two things have become crucial to me, and you can see there, if you see this line here, they're connected to these three things right here. So you have this, which sets the quantization scale, whatever you're going to use, and then these three. So typically in most of my type of songs, if you like the type of music I make, I'm going to use like a 16th, an eighth, or 32nd type note. If you look in here, everything like this is all your triplets. So there's triplets, I'm sorry. And then there's all this other stuff that exists between the triplets, right? So I don't touch these two as much. Obviously, this one I do, but these two I don't really mess with. Every now and then, if I'm exploring, I might mess with these. But the length matters because it adjusts the speed, right? So the note duration matters hugely because if you got something that's just like a drum hit, it's not going to be, you don't want it extended all the way out this far, the duration of it. You want to maybe have it shorter. But if you have something like a synth where a pad or something like that, maybe you want it to be a little longer on the note duration. And then the notes, I already told you about that. The tempo falls under, it generally in my situation, if you're in a DAW and you're not using it standalone, it falls under the DAW's tempo. And then probability, I mess with it every now and then if you feel like you want some sporadic notes. But there's this little section underneath, right here, underneath this dice. And if you click on it, it says clicking here will select all notes if none are selected, or deselect all notes. But if you click on this, it opens up the option of randomizing the active and inactive state of selected notes. So you can change notes and have them certain notes playing and certain notes not playing. Okay. So this feature here, I love using this a lot. Now, if you know the root of the song, you might as well set it. That can, it's like it says it applies a filter mode to the notes. Same thing apply filter notes to align with the selected root notes. So this is good to use if you know your key and you've already established that. But sometimes you go in and you don't know what key you're using. So I'll usually leave this on chromatic C, just so I know it plays all the notes. And then until I find something that I like. And then I might tailor this last. The velocity of how hard the note hits versus, so you can set your range. And then, of course, the keyboard range that you're going to use. And that could vary because, like in this case, I'm transposing all that two octaves down. So even though the notes may say this, imagine if this was 2 octaves down, then it would be C4, right? So I'm starting at C4 technically by doing this, and then it goes on up from there. All right, so that's just the base of it. So here's an example. You can see what it's set to. And without it, let me take it off first. I'll just give you a little sample. Okay, so you get an idea where it is. Now I'm going to put it in. Oops, let me just start that. Now I'm going to put it in. So this is using Omnisphere. And this is a Tom Wolfe preset called It Goes Down. And let me see if I can just play it without it. Sounds really good in my opinion. There's 2 waves he's using. And then, of course, a bunch of effects. The ARP's not even on. Anything with blue, by the way, is on right here. Okay, so pretty cool. All right, so let's get off that. And then what's making it even more cool, actually, because I forgot to show you this. Let me turn this off and play it for you. So it sounds really good, but then when you put this on, sort of smooths it out and gives it a little extra. All right, we'll let that die off. All right, so here's what it sounds like now with. This is Harmony Bloom, and all I did was record it into here. So I don't know. I love it. Little stuff like that to be able to come up. Like maybe I would have, not maybe. I know I would have never came up with that melody to sound like that. It's just not what I would have done. I know. I'm not. I can sometimes hit a melody really good, but sometimes it's not. But I will say this: if I use less notes, in my opinion, I find it to be a little bit better with melodies. Because you think about it, there's 12 notes on a keyboard, right? I mean, different octaves, of course, but 12 notes. So let's say you want to play within 2 octaves. That's what, 25 keys, if I'm not mistaken, maybe less than that. 24 keys. So if you stay within 2 octaves, but you play it high enough over here, you're going to find a nice little melody. That's just my method and my thought process on it. Doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, or you can do it however you want. You're exploring, you're experimenting. That's the beauty of music. But if you think about where you want your note range to be or how you want it to play, you can kind of come up with some cool stuff. At first, I was all about this randomized dice thing, And I think it's good for a start, but then I realized you got to get in and really tweak the sound. So it's partly tweaking in here. The other part of it is picking the right sound too. So maybe you get like a nice little range or thing going on here, but then you got to find the sound that meets that and fits that um, sound that accomplishes the track. The other thing I stopped doing was I was using this first to try to come up with like a melody or some type of something that would be cool to start with, and it works. But I find if I build the track first and then come back and add this, it complements it a lot better, especially if you're going for a melody. So that's just some um, ideas and tips that I have for it that I use. Hopefully, it works for you. And if it doesn't, or if it does work for you, maybe you could share in the comments a few things that you like to use, or ideas or ways that you use it to help build songs and melodies and things of that nature. That's it for this video. I just wanted to go over that. I talked about it the other day, but now I wanted to show you kind of an in-use situation where I'm actually putting it into a song. All right, that's it.